Hi, my name is Mr. Anderson, and I am mean to people on the internet. I'm always very polite about it, though. I just tend to ask difficult questions and insist on the answers. Um, One of the techniques that I do employ that is sometimes effective is the use of analogies or examples. And sometimes people don't, think that those are good or they don't like them because, analogies always involve a degree of um, interpretation, and then that can always be subject to attack. And attacking those sorts of things is an effective way to deal with analogies. But analogies can be good because uh, they ground you and they bring things home and they make things simple when they're otherwise complex. Um, and here's an example of an analogy that I used against Dr. Kent Hovind in one of our debates, where we're talking about what the definition of science is. So instead of arguing about the definition of science in the abstract, I give a concrete example. And I think one of the advantages of this particular analogy is that it's not really an analogy, it's more of an example and an application of the principles of science to a concrete example. And that grounds it and makes it difficult to attack. So I hope you enjoy.
Science, Latin word seer, scientia. What do we know? Evolution is not science, it's a religion. And you're welcome to it. Knowledge gained through study or practice. Okay, you go practice all the dogs you want, all the cows you want. See, get it to turn into something different. It won't happen.
Well, that's not science. That's looking, right? Science requires a little more than that. Science requires a degree of imagination and inference, um, and it's that imagination and the inference that allows us to take the evidence of the things that we see and figure out larger processes of things that we can't necessarily see, and then we can get a lot more out of and understand the natural world a lot better and make predictions because of that logic and that using of evidence to create inferences and use our imaginations. I'll give you an example. Let's say we watch a video from 40 years ago of a man with a bowl of soup, right? And you see the pursed lips and you see the ripples appear on the surface of the soup. So if you were to watch the man do that and all you were allowed to do was observe, then all you could say is that when he pursed his lips over the soup, there ripples appeared on in the soup. And that's not very useful. And it's not science because it's just describing what you see. Science requires that addition of a little imagination. You can't see the air coming out of the man's lungs and hitting the surface of the water. So you have to take the things that you can see, like the shape of his lips and the ripples and your knowledge of the past and your own experiences in terms of what those things are usually paired with, and imagine that it means that when you see lips shaped like that and ripples across the top of that bowl of soup like that, that means that man was likely blowing on the surface of the soup long ago and far away, and even though you weren't there. Now you have inferred using your observations and your imagination. And is that science? I mean, I think so. You have a theory that allows you to make a useful prediction, like that the air is coming out of the man's lungs and moving over the soup, and that cools it. And going even further, you might even imagine, based on all these things, that the soup was hot. And that's kind of cool.